G'day and welcome to another big edition of the MCDFNL Footy Show. Thanks to our great mates over at Bendigo Bank. My name's Yeendy. I'm joined by Mitch, the Operations Manager for the Bendigo Bank MCDFNL. Thanks for joining us again, mate.
Yeah, it's good to be back. A few big results on the weekend, and I'm sure there's going to be some more big results coming in the coming weeks.
Let's talk about the big one, mate. We don't like to make too many predictions on this show, but needless to say, we could see something coming. We saw the Lions upstage the Swans. In one of the big wins of the year. The Swans lose their first game of the year, but it wasn't a close game that we predicted.
No, it wasn't. No, we certainly did pick this one, but clearly Harcourt are a difficult game to play, I think, on their home ground. And look, the margin could have been even greater than it was, 30 scoring shots to 12. So, yeah, Harcourt just picked them apart and did a really good job against the top side there. So.
Yeah, we know that the Swans have been fantastic this year, having not lost a game up until that point, but Harcourt's form has been impressive to show that they are more than capable of beating the sides above them.
Yeah, absolutely. They're a genuine premiership threat, I would have thought, at this stage, so it'd be interesting to see how they go against Carisbrook if they face them again. But yeah, Natty, they need to get back on track. They're obviously still a very good side, and they're going to finish in the top two there, so it's not over for Natty, but they just need to get back on track.
You're spot on there, mate. That top two spot is not in jeopardy at all. I think for Harcourt now, it's looking likely that the way things are going at the moment, they might end up facing Natty in the first week of the finals, which, based on last weekend's game, if they do, that is going to be a very, very good game.
Yeah, and I think it'll be interesting. I'd like to know how much the venue takes place. If it's in Harcourt, they seem to struggle a little bit more when they're playing there. So, if they come up against them at Princess Park or Hedges or something like that, it could be very interesting.
Watch this space. It'll be fascinating. And now it sets the stage for 1 versus 4, based on the fact that if the ladder stayed the same as it is. Well, we saw a bit of a preview of what that might be like now, with Carisbrook comfortably and confidently taking down Talbot.
Yeah, so 2 games that are shaping up to be the 2 qualifiers, I think, for this year. So, yeah, Carisbrook did it very comfortably. It's a big statement for them, knocking off a fellow top 4 side in Talbot. So it was over 10 goals, so it's a big margin. But look, they were only a couple of goals down at half-time, so they were well and truly in the contest at half-time. They just couldn't hold on for the rest of the game. Yeah,
well, I think Talbot, it would be very tough for them. They've been a quality side this year. They had the draw the previous week, and they've had a few other close games throughout the year. Is it a bit of pressure on them to maybe try and lift against some of these better sides and really assert themselves a lot more? I mean, they haven't done much wrong this year, but it's just against some of these other sides that above them are causing them a few headaches.
Yeah, and they're not the only ones to obviously go down by a big margin.
Yeah.
Carisbrook, they are a very strong side, but Talbot will still shake things up, I think, around finals time, and their season's well and truly still going. Yeah,
well, we had a bit of inkling what could have happened in that game based on the previous week when Carisbrook took down Maryborough by over 20 goals. And speaking of Maryborough, they've fallen at the hands of Avoca. Avoca are right in the hunt for the finals. That's a massive win there for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, we predicted a close one here, but I thought Rovers would probably get up here. So, yeah, they've fallen right out. They're down to 10th now, so they'll be fighting to get back into the 8 now, I think. But
that's almost like an 8-point game, really, between the two sides.
It is, yeah, you're right. And look, Avoca did pretty comfortably at 11 more scoring shots, so it was actually fairly convincing in the end.
There was one player that's not registered on the goal sheet that had more than his fair share of chances. I spoke to one of the players who are high in the leadership group during the week, and he said Aaron Henneman kicked a lazy 7 points. So even if he had to kick one of those, or he could have kicked 7 of those, it could have been worse. So 7 out of the 12-18 on the day. Yeah, no doubt. He hasn't done that many times in his life. He'll be looking forward to kicking a little bit better. But the Bulldogs are flying. They're looking fantastic. Speaking of looking fantastic, we've got the Saints. They've had a pretty solid draw over the last few weeks, facing Campbell's Creek and now Denali, sort of boosting that percentage. They've done it in style with a big 178-point win there over the Eagles.
Yeah, massive win for Trentham, probably as expected, but look, they've kicked over 60 goals in the past 2 weeks. So
that's amazing.
It's massive for their percentage. I mean, it's what they needed to make sure they could lock in that top 8 spot. So they'll need to keep that up against Rovers this week. It could be very interesting. Rovers will be fighting very hard now to get back in the 8, so that could be a bit of a danger game for Trentham.
And one of the big highlights of the day was we saw Luke Whitehouse kick a bag as well. He's kicked 25 in 2 weeks. You mentioned that the Saints have kicked 60 goals, well, Lukey has very talented cricketer. Lukey, if you see him in action, he's a terrific batsman. But he's kicked 25, almost 60% of that, almost 50% of those goals. He's absolutely flying at the moment, which is good, making the most of his opportunities. Another important game. We had Royal Park take down Malden. Now the Bombers were playing for their finals hopes. They certainly gave the Tigers a bit of a push, and we expected this as well from the resurgent Bombers.
Yeah, they've unfortunately probably ended Malden's dream run to the finals, I think, here, but Royal Park have still got 2 top 4 sides to come, but also 2 bottom sides, so they'll be able to build up that percentage, and I think they'll probably sneak into the 8 by the end of the season. Yeah,
they're certainly doing all the right things. A quality side last year. They've had a bit of a delayed start with that preparation. They're really starting to get momentum in the last sort of 4 to 5 weeks. They're looking very good, the Tigers. Speaking of the Tigers, Lexington took down Newstead. Again, probably just did what they had to do. Not the most inspiring encounter of the weekend, but they'll be happy with a 10-goal plus win on the day, the Lexington side.
Yeah, a very convincing win. Probably didn't expect as big a margin here. Probably thought Newstead might have put up a bigger fight than that. But look, Lexington via Avoca next week, so that's going to be a very interesting contest for fighting for that top 8 spot, and it's 7th v 8th next week, so looking forward to that one.
Yeah, Newstead will be disappointed that they only kicked the 1 major for the game, but signs of improvement will no doubt be on the way. And the final game we'll have a look at is, Navarre and Campbell's Creek. Navarre is certainly knocking on the door of that top 4 based on the weekend's results. I think there's only a couple of points separating them between them in 4th spot, so that is absolutely massive. They come away with a 198-point win there, but a really good polished team effort against Campbell's Creek. They kicked 4 straight. That's not a bad effort from them, better than what they've produced in a lot of games this year. But Navarre, they have frightened the competition. They are coming.
Yeah, they're carrying on as expected. Still pushing top 4, as you said, but they'll need to win their last 4 and hope that Talbot drop 1, which probably doesn't look likely. They've got a fairly easy run here, while Navarre have they've got Natty and they've got Carriagebook still to come. So I think that top 4 is probably locked in where it is, but look, you never know, Navarre could sneak in.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's what makes it fascinating over the next few weeks. We might have a couple of games that might blow it on the scoreboard, but the race for the top 4, even 5, when we've got some of these big heavyweights fighting off against each other, it's almost like the finals actions come early.
Yeah, and I don't think Navarre necessarily need to finish in the top 4 to have a big impact in the finals. I think they're a experienced enough side to take down one of those top 4 sides come around finals, and I think they'll take a lot of damage in the finals.
Given some of the efforts of the teams just scraping to the bottom of the 8, I wouldn't want to be finishing 5th position. I wouldn't want to be playing whoever finishes in 8, because they'll be given a good run for their money. But that's exciting. We've still got a few weeks to go, which is exciting. We'll be looking into that a little bit more later in the week. Thanks to our friends at the Bendigo Bank. Thanks to you, Mitch, for jumping on board to look back on the latest round. We'll catch you later in the week, mate.
Thanks for having me.